Who's good? Spin Leak here. Time for another movie review. This time it's going to be another Shudder film that's leaving soon. It's Don't Torture a Duckling, an Italian film from 1972 dubbed over in English. It's basically just a slasher whodunit kind of setup. And I'll put it this way. The movie was an hour and 42 minutes long, or 42, 45, something like that. Basically overall 102 minutes, so yeah, it'd be 142. Fuck it, it's early in the morning. I say that in most of these, and it's true. Honestly, halfway through this movie, I was ready for it to be done. That there was a lot going on, none of it really connected, and the best parallel I can really draw this film to, as far as American films go, is this is essentially a sleepaway camp in the way that it kills off kids and also puts them in some adult situations. Like the main love interest of the film was standing bare ass naked, like freaking bush ass crack and tits fully exposed, pouring orange juice over herself, asking an 8-year-old if he wanted to take her to Pound Town. I mean, it's just that kind of movie. So there were very different levels of, lack of comfort within the film, different ways of making you uneasy. But I think that that's more of a cultural subtext and not cultural subtext. I think that's a cultural barrier, and also refers to the time frame in which this film comes out, because there's a lot of animal abuse, a lot of mockery of the mentally ill. It's just kind of standards. That being said, there were two decent scenes in the film. They used a lot of really interesting camera angles, and I can't really speak for the acting because, like I said, it was dubbed over in English, with exception of some of Machara's scenes. I don't mean she was speaking in Italian. It didn't feel dubbed, because if you read her lips, it looks like she's speaking English, which Machara is a witch. I'll go ahead and just start talking about the plot. Give me 2 seconds to collect myself. Okay, so the story is about a murder of three little boys. Well, technically four little boys. Not really going to talk about that. But people think it's this witch Machara. Well, after a bunch of investigating and the three little boys are dead and people start doing all this crazy shit, yeah, they think it's a local witch who was seen digging up a baby at the beginning of the movie. And, once she gets lynched by a fucking mob, that kind of just goes out the window. That's roughly halfway through the film. That's where I feel that they should have ended it. Not because, killing the witch would be concise. It's because this other plot, or the actual ending of the film, was predictable, and the rest of it was a drag because it was just quick cuts of characters interacting with each other, trying to figure out who it was, since it wasn't this witch lady. But I don't know, her character was definitely one of the better ones in the movie. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the entire film is her getting lynched. It is by far one of the best scenes in the fucking movie. The music that's playing, except for that one cut that they made, the practical effects on her being beaten with pipes and chains, all of that, the build up, the length of the scene, I feel that it was very adequate for this film in particular. Um, what else can I fucking say? I'll put it this way: the two best scenes in the movie are people dying, Machara and the main baddie who was murdering children. Dude gets thrown off a cliff, and you can clearly tell that it's a dummy falling down the cliff because it's in slow motion and close up on the dummy, which is a really fun practical effect that keeps bouncing against rocks on the way down. So you're seeing it get torn to pieces and pieces of the face blowing off and shit, while the villain is doing like this little recap of why they did what they did and all this weird shit. It was a long, tiresome, tedious film. I'll put it this way: the main clue that led to people figuring out who the murderer was Donald Duck's head. Donald Duck's fucking head was the clue in a newspaper. Like, severed adult. Shouts to Donald Duck for solving a murder, I guess. Despite my personal feelings about the movie, I'm not a fan of some of the themes. I'm not a fan of the length. I do have to point out that the very strong suit of the film was the camera work. I was shocked, and I'm not happy about it, but I was shocked by the sheer amount of split diopter shots. Like, what the actual fuck? They just kept switching between them throughout interview scenes in the film. it was strange. And if you're not familiar with what a split diopter shot is, think about basically any slasher film where someone's like maybe like this at the camera, and then like back there would be the killer, and they're still in focus. You know, both sides are still in focus because one half of the lens focuses at a distance, and the other half of the lens will focus on something up close. You know, split lens is split diopter. Okay, pretty simple to remember. And there was one camera movement that I actually liked. It's again with Machara. Whenever they were questioning Machara initially, they were asking the questions. Someone behind her asked something, so it panned straight past her to this person, and the camera looped back around to the side. I realize you can't see my hand, but she was right here, dude was right here. So the camera went straight back, and then it looped around long ways and came back in front of her to block the person out whenever she was answering the question. By far, one of my favorite shots. So her death was my favorite scene. That small shot was my favorite shot in the movie. That pretty much sums it up. An hour and 42 fucking minutes, and that is all I can really reference without spoiling or just talking about how many different sexual and adult themes were revolving around children and all the inconsistencies throughout the film and how predictable it was. Honestly, I would recommend that people watch this movie, but I wasn't thoroughly entertained. I'm gonna give it a potato and a half. So, have you seen this movie? Are you going to see it? What are your thoughts on it? Post in the comments down below. And I'm not going to do the typical spiel. Keep on keeping on. I'll see you.